Well, hi, Jerry here, and it is camping season. I'm so excited. Hot summers, we're getting ready to hit the road, and there's 10 things that Joan and I must have when we go camping. Well, hi, it's Jerry, and it is camping season, and it is hot, and it's raining today, but I'm still going to do a video. I'm excited about this. There's 10 things that Joan and I must have when we go camping. Look, when we've all gotten started, we've done this. We had somebody to tell us to buy this, that, or the other, or where we bought our camper. They gave us, quote, the essentials, and it's never enough or it's not the right thing. I'm going to show you 10 things that Joan and I are, what we consider our must-haves when we go camping. And it really will save you when you get into these, let's just call them odd campgrounds with odd connections. Let's look at the first item. The first item is just a good sewer hose. This is an old standby. We've had it for a while. It's called a Rhino Flex. I just love it. They stretch out like crazy. They've got the bullet elbow adapter that you can screw in. And you know, you've got the quick connect at the top, and then you screw this in. This little part here comes off, and you screw it right back on. These things are just absolutely great. You can buy the expensive ones. This is what I would call mid-range. It has served us very, very well. We've had it for a couple years. It has never failed us. It's got the nice O-rings on the inside and really nice positive locks, and that's very, very important. You don't want to go super cheap on these because the plastic will kick out. Never want to have that happen. Or these little ears will break off. You never want to have that happen. And these are really, really good units. Item number one. Item number two falls within the same family, and that is a sewer hose extension. This is also a Rhino Flex model. We just use this. We probably have to use these maybe, I don't know, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 campgrounds that we go to. And this is those instances where the sewer dump on a full hookup just is in the wrong place for our camper. I'm not saying that they designed it wrong, it's just we just don't fit. So we just had to use this not too long ago in Nashville, where our connection was, I don't know, maybe 25 feet away, and we just couldn't get any closer. And these things are extremely important, and it's the difference in being able to make your full sewer connection and not being able to make your full sewer connection. Continuing in this black water theme, this is another item that I consider just absolutely important. This is a 45-degree clear view connection. This goes right at the top of your black tank, and then your sewer hose connects down to the bottom of it. And this one's by Valterra. You can also get these from Camco. They've got them in 45, they got them in 90. I find the 45 gives a nice little gentle bend. And why this is important is when you go to dump the black tank, I know you'll never see this on my YouTube channel, but when you dump that black tank, you want to be able to see it flow, and you want to see it empty. And especially if you have scrubbers that are built in and you're hooking up a clear water hose, and you want to be able to clean that line out, you want to eventually see that black tank water go as clear as possible. You just can't do it without one of these. You're just guessing. So another essential that I believe that's very, very important to, you know, your black tank maintenance. This is the fourth and last item that I'm going to talk about black tank. I'm very concerned. I'm going to be concerned the black tank channel. But this is called a donut. These things are super, super cheap. Sometimes you'll go to a federal park, a state park, and maybe once in a while I'll run across a very old private park that doesn't have the screw in that you can screw this into your black tank and give a good seal. You definitely want that good seal. If not, you're going to smell the place up. And this is called a donut. And you will just take this and put it over your connection, give it a gentle step, and then your bullet will go straight down inside of it just like so, and give a good positive seal. These things are cheap. I keep 1 or 2 of them in the camper just in case one of them split. And it's just, and again, I don't use it that often, but sometimes you go to a state or federal park, and it's mandated that if you don't have these and they don't use it, they'll make you leave. So a donut for your black tank. The next item is for safety. When you get to the campground, I don't care whether you have a small pull-behind trailer or a very large fifth wheel, a Class B, a Class C, or even one of these giant Class A's, you need a good set of quality chocks. 4 of them. You want to be able to put these on the front and back of the wheel of both sides of your rear axle at a bare minimum. These things are cheap. This one's a hard rubber. You can find them in plastic. I just happen to be a fan of these. You can buy them just about anywhere. I bought these, I think, at Harbor Freight. You can buy them at Tractor Supply. There's lots of resources where you can buy these, and they're just very, very important. Buy a set of 6. This is experience talking, because you'll forget to check it off your checklist. Drive over it. Yeah, it'll bust. But they're cheap, so make sure you buy you a couple of these before you go out camping this season. When you get to the campground, you're going to want to be able to hook up to your water system. And make sure you buy one of these white RV camping style hoses. The hot sun can beat on these and beat on these and beat on these, and you will not get that water hose and rubbery taste. Here's another tip. I buy 2 of these in 25 feet. 50 feet is just too hard to manage. And again, I don't know, we'll use a rule of maybe 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 times. I'm going to be able to use just a 25 foot to be able to hook up our RV. There's those instances, we just had one, to where I needed actually more. So they're very inexpensive, and 2 of these in 25 feet is just extremely helpful when you get out there and you're camping. One other tip, you see these things? Oh my goodness. These little bungees like this, you can buy these things. They are super cheap. Usually most of them, you can get them in packs of, I don't know, 5 or 6 for just $1 or so. You can get them everywhere, Amazon, Harbor Freight, Walmart, wherever. I like these. They make black ones. I don't like the black ones. They don't last very long. These red ones work great, and you're going to see it on all of my stuff, my water hoses, my electric hoses, and things like that. Really makes management so much nicer that you can just hang this thing up. But again, aside from that, 2 of these, 25 feet, essential when you go camping. If I was going to share things important, this would probably be the item that is probably one of the most important things that you have, and this is a water regulator. I've used and owned multiple types of these, inline with a meter, and then inline adjustable. This is my favorite. I've had this one a couple years now. There's multiple brands that's out there. This thing is extremely important. I'll give you, for instance, the second time Joan and I went camping, honest to goodness, that place must have had 100 pounds of water pressure. It was something else. I didn't know. You know, I just didn't know. Hooked the water hose on, turned it up. About an hour later, we had water squirting out of everywhere. These campers cannot handle home-style water pressures. It just isn't going to happen. And I normally run this thing at 35 to 40 pounds. Some people say you can run your camper a little bit higher, but that works good for washing dishes and being able to take a shower, flush the toilet, etc., and it works great. I like the meter a lot. And you have a screw here that's in top that you can dial to get your 35 to 40 pounds. You only have to do that once usually, but I like seeing that I've got 30 to 40 pounds going inside the camper. This thing is incredibly important not to damage your RV. And you can use the inlines, but they clog. They just quit working after about a year. I've had this one for several years. Super happy with it. So get your water pressure regulator before you go camping. We'll go to my last 3 items. The next thing that I just absolutely won't leave without, yeah, is my surge guard. It's my surge guard. This is a 34750 model. This one's in 50 amp. You can buy a similar model in 30 amp. Last night we had a thunderstorm. When that first blast of lightning hit, I thought it was going to cut the fifth wheel in 2. It was a bruiser. This thing, look, they're under $400, depending on the time of year, I think, and demand. They're not that expensive. This is the best insurance you can buy. I'm going to put a link up top where I actually talk about electrical essentials if you haven't seen that. Look. Here's why these things are so important. You get a surge, a blast, a lightning strike that's outside. This thing is not going to let it come into your camper. If it does, you're going to lose your air conditioners, you're going to lose your microwave, your TVs, everything electronic is gone. It's gone. And this is the cheapest insurance you can get. Second thing, and this has saved us 3 or 4 times, we're in a campground and all of a sudden on a 50 amp, you've got 2 legs of power. One of our legs went down below 100 volts and this thing shuts off. And why is that important? Well, it keeps you from burning up we've got a residential refrigerator. It'll save us from burning up that compressor, save us from burning up the compressor on the air conditioner as that thing fluctuates and the compressor starts getting kind of crazy and wonky. Look, this thing will save you. This one's a couple years old and I don't know how long they last, but I do know this, if this one ever goes bad, I will already have another one to replace it within a matter of hours. These things are awesome. This next item is probably more for us who are 50 amp campers, have 50 amp connections, but there's some other applications I'll talk about briefly too. But for those of us who are 50 amp, look, Joan and I go to state parks all the time. We go to federal parks all the time. Some of these things are older, maybe even an older private park. All they've got is 30 amp. We're still going to go camping. And we'll do some electric management to be able to use that 30 amp connection. This thing is absolutely essential when you get into those parks and still be able to have power. It's 30 amp on this side, it's 50 amp on this side. This does not replace 50 amp of capacity. If you're new to camping, I want to stress this. In a 50 amp connector, on one side you've got 120 volts of 50 amp, and on this side you've got 120 volts of 50 amp. So you have 2 50 amp connections actually going into your camper. That's why you can run both air conditioners and the microwave and the 1500 watt hair dryer and all that stuff. It's not going to happen with one of these, but with some electric management, you can still use this thing. You can run a air conditioner. If you need to turn the microwave on, turn the air conditioner off and turn the microwave on. If mama needs to dry her hair with that 1800 watt turbo hair dryer, you're going to have to turn the air conditioner and the microwave off too and let her get that done until you can run it. But it still doesn't mean you can't have fun camping. And this thing, well, without it, you're not going to be able to have any power. So make sure you get you a 30 to 50 amp connector, or some people even call these dog bones from back in the day. This is the last item. This is an extension cord. Nope, this isn't Daddy's extension cord that you'll find at home. This one is set up for 50 amp. You'll see the big 50 amp connector that's here. You can get them for 30 amp. I only buy 15 feet. That seems to be enough with my main cord that comes out of the back of my RV. If I'm missing it by a couple feet, I can either adjust the camper just enough to be able to fit, or worst case, I have to pull out this 15-foot extension to be able to get over to the electric service panel. And 15 feet has never let me down. When the first year we camped, we did fine, and then boom, we hit a place down at the beach in Florida, and we just weren't going to fit. And I probably use this thing 3 or 4 times a year. You don't want to get these things too long. They make them even longer. Because what will happen is you'll get voltage drop and you can heat these things up and you can start blowing fuses in the panel. I find with my normal cord and an extra 15 feet, it serves us really well. Look, and you can get different types of these, okay? And they'll have different wire gauge sizes. Think about the thickness of the wire if you're not familiar with wire gauges. You want to get one that is at least, remember this now, 10 gauge. You want your wires to be 10 gauge, and then that way you'll make sure that you have a good connection for your extended power when you need it. Well, there you have it, 10 of my, I'll just call them my essential things to start camping with. I have found that if we have these 10 items, we can meet most of the challenges that we run into when we go to a campground, whether it's where the black tank dump is going to be located, or the power post is too far away, or the water hose is too far away, or the pressure's too high, or just the protection of our electronics and electrical devices and appliances that are inside of our camper. I think these things are just incredibly important. They've served us well. Look, we're getting ready to be gone for the remainder of the summer, and way into fall, probably into November, we're going to be going everywhere. And I know if I've got these 10 items that we're going to be able to address most of the situations that we have out there. Hey, this is Jerry, and you got it. I do love RV life.